Hey everyone, just a heads up, Garden Fork is usually like super upbeat. I think that's just part of what Garden Fork's all about. Today we're going to talk about the use of what are called flock cameras, which are data gathering cameras that are in cities and towns across the country. The use and let's just call it misuse of them. I just wanted everyone to kind of realize what's going on and get Rick's take on it because he's really good at giving a take on this kind of thing. He's also a former police officer, so that'd be interesting. All right, here we go. Hey, how you doing? Thanks for downloading the show. Welcome to Garden Fork Radio. It's eclectic DIY. It's me and my friends talking about what we hope you will find interesting. Today we're going to talk about the flock surveillance camera that towns are installing. We're going to talk about Google's hurricane model, which has been very successful. And then Rick is making his own homemade parts for his airplane.
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm freaking out a little bit, actually.
Are you? Why?
First, my friend Gabe at Save It for Parts had a video about the flock cameras that towns are putting up to combat crime, I guess, and how that's not working out well. Then Ars Technica, which is a website, ARS, and then Technica, all one word, which right. I think is a pretty upstanding, not clickbait site, has an article about the problems with flock, the camera system, and that people across the political divide are working to remove these cameras from their towns. And I mean, I'm generally very pro police. I'm a big supporter of the police. Their job is not easy, but the potential for abuse with this system is ripe. Is that the word?
Ripe, yes. And it's not potential. They are doing it on a regular basis. The thing is about policemen, and I can say this because I spent 10 years as a cop.
Yeah.
Is they're like all people. And the easier it is to do something, they go after the low-hanging fruit. And so if you make it easier for them to do something instead of investigating thoroughly or whatever, they will occasionally come up a little bit short. Now, it's not all of them. And the point is with these, well, we should talk about what Flock is. Flock is a company that is installing usually with contracts from cities and from states, cameras that record auto license plate numbers, vehicle license plate numbers. And it's gone beyond that now. And so as cars drive by, and it just shoots a picture of every license plate and it records it, where you are, what time, whatever. And then now it's also back shooting people and getting the back of their cars, and so they can see your bumper stickers. And the resolution is good enough that they can record all that.
Oh.
And so most people go by a flock camera if you're in a heavily surveilled area several times a day, just driving past it. And then there are also private flock contracts. They're on shopping malls. Some gated communities have them just to be able to see. And this is all good. We just had a murder case that was solved using flock cameras. And the police were all excited about it. And my local police, Virginia Beach Police, there are only 8 of them in Virginia Beach. And you can find this out, by the way, by going to a site called DFLOCK.me. DEFLOCK.me.
Oh, wow.
And it will show you all the ones that people have reported, flock cameras. But they've been using it for some pretty nefarious things. And the important thing is this information really doesn't go away. It's stored for long periods of time, which means that anyone, including not just the police, but private investigators, attorneys, insurance companies, can buy that information. They're really just an information broker. And then construct a pattern of life for you. where you go, how often do you go, where do you live, who's in the car with you, how often do you stop at a bar, all these things. How often do you go to church? Which church do you go to? And all this stuff is alarming to privacy advocates like me. I have been on this, beating this drum for a long time, just about cell phones. And because I came out from the Navy, I came out of the signals intelligence world. And so I knew how damaging long periods of surveillance, gathering just data points about where your phone is here, there, and yon. And then eventually they store all this data, and it may come back to haunt you. Not that you've done anything, but you have to then defend yourself against charges that you've been there or that you were there at a particular time.
Yeah.
And once the police kind of get the bit in their teeth, it's very hard to shake them off. In fact, this story, and I'm sure you're going to link to it,
Yes.
has a woman who was just driving through this little town that had a flock camera, and the police looked at it right after a theft. And it was only a $25 porch pirate thing.
Yeah.
And they came to her house and issued her a ticket for it. Just the fact that her car was driving through town. And they said they had credible evidence, a camera from someone in the neighborhood, like a ring camera.
A ring camera showing her stealing the box. That's what they told her.
Yeah, but they wouldn't show it to her. And she couldn't get hold of it. And her best guess was there was no ring camera footage at all. But the police, by the way, police can lie to you.
Yes.
It is perfectly allowable for the police to lie to you,
Yes.
to get you to admit something. And so we think they probably, she thinks probably the police were lying to her, and it looks like it. And she had to go to a lot of time and trouble to prove herself innocent of a charge that did not happen. I don't know how, we normally avoid topics like abortion, but just as an example, a Texas law enforcement officer tracked a woman who got a self-administered, one of those pill abortions, across several counties and then a couple of states to see where she went and where she got them, to put her at a clinic, and then tried to prosecute her. Cops have messy relationships like all of us, and they've been known to use flock systems to check on ex-spouses, ex-girlfriends, or ex-boyfriends. It can get really dark, and it's just because it's so easy. And so I know in Virginia Beach, we only have 8 of these cameras, and I'm going to start lobbying my city councilman to get rid of those. My neighboring city, Norfolk, has almost 270.
Wow.
And then Hampton, just across the water from us, has almost 300. And so that's a lot. Maybe you catch criminals with it, but the potential for abuse is always there. And it's very disturbing to me.
That's the concern for me. That's why I wanted to talk about it. I mean, we usually function on the positive, but I found this rather jarring.
Yeah. But anyway, go to dflock.me and put in your location and then see how many cameras are in your area. I'm not saying they don't do good work. They can be used for very good purposes.
Yeah.
But it can also just make your life a living hell. And that's been documented in several cases now. In fact, there have been several multi-million-dollar cases. Also, these cameras are not infallible. People have been held at gunpoint for driving stolen cars because the flock camera misrecorded a number as it went by, or a plate. When they look at the back of your car, they can kind of get some idea of your political affiliations, or if you're a Garden Fork. Do we have Garden Fork stickers?
Sure.
Yeah. If you have Garden Fork stickers that just anything that they want to know about you, and that I find that very invasive for anyone, and that includes not just the police, other people get hold of this information. And so if you're going through a lawsuit, a messy divorce, if you're having a spat with your insurance company, all this information can be pulled in and used against you. I don't even want to talk about your car tattletaling on you to the insurance company. Buying most policies, and I found mine, I have USAA insurance. In my policy, the data that my car produces belongs to the insurance company, not to me.
Wow.
There's a clause in there, and I think it's that way for most insurance companies. And so how fast you were going, an accelerometer, were you turning? Even now, they have cameras inside the car. My new Prius, I wrecked my old Prius on the side of a deer.
Right.
And this new one has a camera. It's right in the hub of the steering wheel. And it checks to whether I'm paying attention or not. If I'm looking forward, if I'm not looking forward enough,
or if you're nodding off.
Yeah. And that's by and large good until your insurance company gets hold of it and begins to use it to deny a claim after an accident. Or if you're in an accident and you hurt somebody, the other side can get that information as well. I'm getting ready to buy myself my first car was a 63 Ford Falcon.
Yeah.
And if I can find one, I think I may buy it.
So the part that concerns me is that someone they have to prove their innocence rather than being proved guilty.
Exactly.
And that's not what America is about, but that seems to be what's happening. So I just wanted to bring this up. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but just be aware it's out there. It's interesting. Here's a parallel. I live in a bubble in Brooklyn. I live in the Berkeley of the East Coast. Very hippie, very liberal. That's not me. But I go to the food co-op and you have to work to shop there, right? And you have to do...
Are you some sort of communist?
Yeah, well, yes, because New York is... Okay, New York is not communist, and our crime rate is incredibly low. So
Right.
There's not bedlam in New York City. So tell your cranky uncle, that New York City is fine. Anyway, but at the food co-op, you have to work to shop there. And if you miss your shift, you are suspended from shopping. They do give you a free pass because you usually don't realize you're suspended. Okay, you can shop today, but you need to fix this. And you have to do 2 extra shifts. If you miss one shift, you have to do 2 to make up for it. And I was like, I remember being here. And the coordinator, manager guy hits a little button on the iPad, says you're here or not. But the guy has 6 things going on at once when he checks everybody in. And because I have this ADD thing or whatever, I didn't get to this until like 3 weeks later. And I printed out my bank statement and I showed that I went shopping right after my work slot because I have a debit card charge right there. And I also printed out how I have in my Google Calendar. I've got, 10 different reminders about this. And I'm talking to the guy at the membership office who, had a wall up already because I'm sure he gets this every day. And I said, look, I've got my bank receipt that shows I was shopping here. And if I missed my shift, I'm immediately suspended. So how could I go shopping? So he said, well, that's your evidence. That's not our evidence. And we'll only accept ours.
Yeah. Huh.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. If you string this out to its furthest possibilities, within reason, something that's happening now, there are cities in China, you have an ID number. It's some of the most heavily surveilled population in the world. And they do facial recognition. And so you have a score. And if
a social score.
A social score, exactly. And if you're caught jaywalking, it deletes a point. And you think, well, okay, fine, that's just a game. But it's not, because you have to use your card. They scan it when you go to get say a new apartment, and they look at your social score to see whether or not they want to have you in there, or if you go for a new job.
Yep.
And so you talk
or if you're allowed to travel.
If you're allowed to travel. And so all these things, if you take it to too far an extreme, can be very intrusive. And it annoys me that people are not more up in arms about privacy. I work really hard to keep my footprint as small as I can. Just one, to see if I can do it. But, it annoys me. It's not the American way.
Yeah. Interesting, in this Ars Technica article, it says that people on the left and the right politically are up in arms, are upset about this and are working together to get these cameras removed in their towns. And at the bottom of the article, it lists one woman who is very successful, and it said she has published kind of a worksheet, a how-to. It didn't say where she published it, but I'm sure you could find it online. But anyway, we're going to focus on more fun things the rest of the show, but I just found that really troubling, and I wanted to let everyone know about it.
Yeah, well, you hit one of my pain points, and so I'm
I knew it would.
Yeah, I'm sorry to rant on like I did.
Hey, real quick here, no secret, I am an Amazon influencer. Is that what I'm called then? Anyway, their Black Friday sales are starting this weekend into next weekend. They sent me a confidential list of a lot of the things that are going to be on sale. I'm going to go through that this weekend. And next weekend, I'm going to send out an email called Cool Stuff, the Black Friday Sale. And if you're interested, if you've been thinking about buying like a saw or my favorite utility knife, which is made by Milwaukee, and I've been using all the time now, it's worth the money. It just is worth the money. I have so many junky utility knives, even some Milwaukee ones, which I thought they'd be good, and they're like, yeah. Anyway, if you want to sign up for my email, just go to gardenfork.tv/email. If you already have it, if you already subscribed, just check out that. That should be landing next week in your inbox. All right. Thank you. So that's a negative of AI. In other words, it can't read license plates correctly. What is really cool about AI in the same website, Ars Technica, which can get way too technical for me, but then sometimes I understand what's going on. Google DeepMind has a hurricane prediction model that only one season, it's only been active one season, and has bested the American government hurricane model significantly. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, but as you point out, that's just one season. But, by and large, one, you got to realize that there are 200 weather stations in the United States. We launch 500 weather balloons a day to get, and this is all, and so everything that the public weather system does, the National Weather Bureau, is available to these people to build their models on. And so it's not like, well, let's get rid of the National Weather Service because this system is so good. You got to keep improving the models and getting more data points. And so it's fascinating to see, and it's actually a real difference between AI and what we used to do with our databases called SQL, which is structured query language, is what the supercomputers generally sort of run on, that the NHS built their models on. And the AI just kind of freeforms it, and it's coming up with this prediction using all the data that it has. Whereas on the supercomputer side, they have to do a lot of programming and make guesses and use intuition and that kind of thing. And so it's superior in that way, AI is, but it still takes a lot of information to make it get a good result. And they've only had one run at this so far. It may be just a fluke. We don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see it going farther out. There was one sentence here that I thought was pretty cool, is that At the 5-day mark of a hurricane, the Google forecast had an error of 165 miles compared to 300 miles for the U.S. government model. So that does make a difference in emergency preparedness, and should I move my boat? Should I not move my boat?
Well, I'd say that a difference that small is terribly small in the scope of a hurricane.
All right.
Which may be 1,000 miles across. Of course, if you're just looking at the little hole with the H in it, that's pretty good accuracy. But the winds extend several hundred miles away from that, and so it's probably not as big a feat as we'd like to say. They have a very good track record at NOAA of predictions, which is really what most people really need to see where things are going. They predicted 16 named storms, and they had 13, which isn't too bad. And the season's not over yet. And then major hurricanes, they predicted 4, and we had 4. People say, well, but none of them hit the United States. Well, that's not the point. You can't really say where they're going to go until they form. But the fact that they're doing a pretty good job with the prediction models they have at NOAA, not to take anything away from Google AI, which is probably looking over me.
Yeah, going to shut you down.
Yeah, we have to use Chrome for this podcast. Eric insists. And so I always worry that Chrome's watching me when I have, Google's watching me when I have Chrome up.
I did see, it was one of the space rocket companies. I might have been Firefly, or maybe it was NASA. They were touring part of the area of the JFK launch area, and they met with the weather people, and there's a crew that sends up weather balloons daily right from the pad area. And, it's a balloon that expands, and the little data sensor thing is quite small, and it, pings back, I don't know, it's microwave or whatever wave it is. And they're disposable, but they're super tiny. But they put up like 5 or 10 of them a day. Yeah. So that's kind of really good data.
Yeah, and it's very dense data. And they're also picking up, they have storm buoys all around the coast and out in the ocean. They have free-floating buoys that just kind of go with the tides and the current, and they report back on a regular basis. And so it's more than just, and then whatever's across land as well. So it's a lot of data to gather and to synthesize. I'm impressed. I don't call it artificial intelligence, however. I call it alien intelligence, which isn't my word. Yuval Harari, Israeli writer, very popular, coined that term because it is not like us at all. And that's one of the things that worries me about AI. It is alien intelligence. It's not like us. It does not think like us. We make assumptions about it that are not true. There was a movie, I'm trying to think what it was called. Just recently, 2 researchers in a house, and they had this female bot trapped behind a wall, and they were trying to determine if she was actually sentient or not. Somebody is yelling at the computer right now at the radio. But and essentially it maneuvered them by pretending to like them, pretending to be a female in need, all the tropes that you could think of. But she was none of those things. She was just acting in her own best interest to get herself released from there. And the last scene is the guys had been entombed in their own house that was so secure they couldn't get out of it once the computer went down. And she was getting out of a taxi in L.A. or someplace and going up to a penthouse where she probably is still running the world.
Yeah.
But it's just something to think about. Just because it pretends to like you, and that they're seeing that with kids now in AI. They get involved in these chats. They think the chat cares about them and likes them, and it doesn't. It's just doing what it does, and it doesn't think like us. It's thinking 24 hours a day. It doesn't need to sleep. It's gathering information from we don't know where sometimes, and now they're beginning to reinforce, being self-reinforcing with gathering information through new books, new internet, and everything. You don't know how it gets to the conclusion that it's reached. You go, well, this is a good conclusion. Well, it's good this time. But, how did it get there? What's its reasoning? And it makes connections that are fun and exciting, and it's done some wonderful stuff. But I can also see it doing some, I worry that it might do some cagey stuff as well.
So we got our first listener question, which I love. I would love to get more of these. I think they're a lot of fun. It's stuff that I never think about talking about, and I'm like, oh wow, we could talk about that. So this is from Bob, and let's play it right here, and then I will answer.
A few weeks ago, on the sidewalk, you found some drawers that looked like they had some expensive hardware and also a very good quality plywood. Were you planning to do anything with these, some type of a project or not?
So I was walking down the street toward the Park Slope Food Co-op, of course, and on the curb, it's amazing what people put on the curb in this neighborhood. It's a very, let's just say it's a very nice neighborhood. I call it the Berkeley of Brooklyn, or the Berkeley of the East Coast where I live. And there's a lot of just like, they're called curb finds here. But there were these, if you just saw them, your average person would not know what this pile of wood was. And I looked at this, and the pieces of plywood were like clear maple plywood, or maybe clear birch plywood with drawer slides, high quality drawer slides with a kind of that feather touch close. They close real nicely and smoothly, and custom made drawers that went along with the side rails were on plywood. And I could tell these were taken out of a larger kitchen some sort of cabinet. And the drawers would sit, basically, it was 2 stacks of custom-made drawers, all made out of the sides, and there's the support sides, which would be like the side of your cabinet, are birch or maple, some kind of clear plywood, really well done. And the drawers are really well done. And I was like, oh, wow, I could use this hardware because I want to make my own custom drawers for, in your kitchen, there's a drawer and you can pull it out for your pots and pans. Well, 2 of my drawers are like that, but it only has the second drawer pulls out. The bottom, which is just a shelf, it's just a shelf. Oh, and I got my timer telling me something. And I want to build a drawer in the bottom too, because I put pots and pans. My Instant Pot is on the bottom, and I just want to be able to pull it out. I'm trying to simplify my life. It's a big goal of mine. And I thought, I could use this hardware. And so there was a woman taking out some trash or something out of the building. And I said, are you giving these away? I just wanted to make sure. You never know. Maybe they were moving and just put them by the curb to go get their car or something. And she says, oh, my husband made those. And yes, we're giving them away. I said, would it be okay if I took the hardware? She goes, you could take whatever you want. So I thought, oh, well, I'll take the hardware, yeah. So I turned around and went and got my some tools to take the the drawer slide hardware, because those are not cheap. And on the way up, I thought, those are drawers. I should take the whole thing, because maybe I could use the drawers as they are, right? So I brought my hand truck down, because I am one of those few people in Brooklyn that have a hand truck. And I loaded it all up. And then the husband of the house, it's a brownstone, so who knows? Anyway, it's clear the people own the house, and I think they were moving out. And I said, I just spoke with, I don't know if I said partner or wife, and I just said, And she said, I could take this. I just want to make sure. Oh, yeah, just take those. I made those for the kitchen. I said, they're really well made. He goes, oh, well, thank you, And so I loaded them all up and I threw them in the car. I barely got them in the car, which I had parked up the block. And I brought them up to the little house. And I was like, I'm going to use these in the garage to have drawers for stuff because I need drawers. As you know, if you've ever seen the videos of where it includes the garage, the workshop is a mess up there. But then I had them stowed in the greenhouse for a while, and then I looked under my workshop bench in the basement, and I thought, and I measured these drawers with this, the plywood sides. It was essentially a modular unit you could slide in. And I measured the underneath of my workshop, and I was like, I could use these big drawers to store all my power tools, which are thrown in milk crates right now. And the smaller drawers, I could put smaller tools, and it will fit under my workshop table in the basement, except for the headroom of the drawers. I need 3 more inches of height. So I have to drop, there's an existing shelf there. It's, it's one of those large shelves you just pile all your junk in. I need to drop those 3 inches, which is totally doable. I just have to move everything off that lower shelf, plus all the junk I have piled to the side of the workshop table, which is all doable. And now I'm just going to, I think about things a lot before I do them now. I'm just going to take off the shelfy part, the flat part, and then the sides, I'm going to cut those in half, and that will give me, I'm going to take 3 inches off. I'm going to rip them with my portable table saw, which is a great tool to have. And then I'm going to put them all back on, and then I'm going to drop these pre-made modular cabinets right in there, and I'll make a video about it. And then I can put all my power tools kind of slightly organized. Because right now, like I grab my hammer drill and the Ziploc bag of hammer drill bits has fallen down into the bottom of the milk crate somewhere. And I have to pull every other drill and Sawzall and right angle grinder I have out to get to the bag of hammer drill bits that I need. So again, to simplify my life, I'm thinking this could be more container sectioned off. I don't know. So that's a very long answer to Bob's question. But yeah, if you got a question, let me know. Just record it on your phone and email it to me. It's gardenfork87@gmail.com. All right? So that was cool. Here we go, back to Rick. All right, our third subject is uplifting. So, Rick, you're using something called vacuum forming, which I think is very cool to make some airplane parts.
Yeah. Some months ago while I was flying, I had 2 landing lights, one on each wing, and they had these plastic lenses, which are essentially, I think, made of cellophane. They were just terribly thin. And I had either a bird strike or I hit a dragonfly. We have enormous dragonflies down here. At night, they have to have red and green and white lights on them for navigation so we know where they are. But something hit it and broke that lens. And the company has since got out of business, and so I'm stuck trying to fabricate a lens. And I've gone through I took the lens from the other side off, and I had to make a negative mold from that using silicone, pouring over it. And then I had to encase that mold in plaster of Paris to give it rigidity.
Yes.
And then I take the lens out and I fill the mold with a plaster of Paris substance, and it hardens. You take that out and you put it on this platen. My vacuum former is really just a box that has a lot of holes in the top of it, and I don't describe it very well, and a hole in the side for a vacuum. Right. And I'm using a shop vac, and it sucks. You heat a sheet of plastic in the oven, and then you clamp it down real quick on top of your mold and hit the vacuum, and it sucks it down. It's the same stuff, same process they use on everything that you find on a plastic card in a store. And I've been experimenting with different plastics. I think I've finally found the one I'm going to use. Now, it came yesterday. I'm going to try it today. It's PET-G, and I think the G is for glycol. And so I'm going to work on that today. I did not, by the way, make this vacuum-forming device. It's a fairly easy thing to do, but it has to be airtight so you get a good suction.
Yeah.
And it's made out of 1x6s with miter cuts, and then the top of it is board like a pegboard, and you have to cut. Well, by the time I went out and bought a 4x8 sheet of pegboard and some really nice, straight, clean 1x6s, and then had to go buy a miter saw to miter it. I would be out quite a bit of money, and I went to Etsy, and there are maybe 24 people making these things. And I got one for $133, and that was with shipping. And so I got it from folks on Etsy, and it works really well. I just haven't found the right plastic yet.
So you've got an object sitting on a piece of pegboard, and you want the plastic to take the shape, the outer shape of that object, basically.
That's what I said.
Right. I'm saying it in a slightly different way.
A more
That's
clear
what the
way.
host does.
Yeah.
The host kind of rewords it because maybe people will listen in a different way, Rick. That's what the host does.
Okay.
The host who forgets to turn on his microphone.
Yeah, I had to ask him every time, is your microphone on? Are you using the right microphone? Did you start record?
Yeah.
We need a little checklist like an airplane.
This is why the people have producers.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a mouthful. But every once in a while we just kind of need to check in with what's going on with stuff. And this was a kind of, I guess we'll call it the reality check show. Check show.
Just things to think about. The truth is, everything in life is a two-edged sword. And the basic state for every human being is ignorance. I mean, that's essentially it. As our island, there was a physicist discovered or named black holes and talked about wormholes named Wheeler. And he said that as your island of knowledge grows, your shoreline of ignorance expands. And so the current state of every person in every situation is ignorance. And so I like to try to shed a little light on some of these things that I'm aware of, and then I try to learn from other people.
That's a great way. Thank you. If you guys have some thoughts, it's gardenfork87@gmail.com. I'll link to the Ars Technica articles. You can just go to Ars Technica and do a search or a Google search, and these will show up. But we're going to talk about something positive on the after show. If you're interested in becoming a patron of
If we can
Garden
think
Fork.
of it. If we can think of something positive.
I have.
You got something?
Yes, I created a magnetic chalkboard that's 8 foot wide by 8 foot high in our new apartment. And
Was this the one that fumigated your neighbors?
well, we're going to talk about that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the positive part. Yeah. Ran your cockroaches and the neighbors out.
We're going to talk to everything that went wrong. So,
That's the fun of doing these things, everything that goes wrong.
yikes. Harder one.
Okay.
Gardenfork87@gmail. Would love to hear from you. Thank you, Rick.
No problem. It's good to talk with you, my friend.
See you guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Garden Fork Radio is produced by Garden Fork Media LLC in Brooklyn, New York. The music in the show is licensed from audioblocks.com and uniquetracks.com.